Hey everybody, what's going on? You all know exactly what I'm here to talk about, the brand new Prehistoric Kingdom news. I've been waiting for some really big news to go ahead and talk about it, and this is some pretty big news. So, with the brand new February devlog, we got a whole look at the alpha. All the information about it, including the release date, which is, of course, March 19th, as everybody already knows, and everybody's already talking about. This is really cool, and I've been waiting a long time to really see this game finally get some official releases, even if it's just the alpha, as this game has been in development for years, and it's really crazy to see how far it's gotten and how much the community has grown recently. I'm very excited to see what people are going to be doing years from now with this game. What possibilities, the possibilities of what people are going to build from this game could be anything. Honestly, I have really no idea, but I'm very excited to see. And we're going to go ahead and talk about everything you can get in the alpha, of course, through the new devlog. You can find out. I will leave the devlog linked in the description down below. We're going to go ahead and just look at the whole list of stuff we're getting, and then we're going to go over some of the highlights. And then later on, I'm going to be making another video talking about if it's actually worth it. I'll explain more about that later on, but let's go ahead and just begin a look at this new devlog. Alright, so here we are in the February devlog, and as I said before, we're going to go ahead and just take a look at the list of stuff we're getting in the alpha launch, and then we'll go ahead and talk about the highlights. So to begin with, animals, the animal category. The game alpha is going to be launching with 6 dinosaurs: the Tyrannosaurus Rex, Hybonosaurus, Lambeosaurus, Styracosaurus, Nasutoceratops, and Microraptor, including the alternate skins and the alternate species, because some of the dinosaurs actually come in different, well, there's actually, for some animals, there are just different kinds. There's different kinds of T-Rex. It's really well detailed. I've seen, like, based on the really old devlogs before the game got kind of a face wipe, they really cared about, like, having the most precise evidence, real-life evidence of the creature, so that means different, it even means different T-Rexes in this case. The next up, we're going to get multi-level pathfinding. Use the modular system to create corridors, platforms, and ramps for your animals to navigate around. So they do talk about this later on in the devlog. Basically, we are going to be able to actually create modular platforms for the animals to climb on, right? Just like in Planet Zoo, when the animals can actually interact with what you build. Same thing here. It's actually very important to have that realism, because you want to be able to build a platform for, I guess in this case, based on the pictures already, the Edmontosaurus, for example, to actually climb up on. Again, we're going to take a look at that later. Along with all this, we're going to get various behaviors. Animals can engage in a variety of basic behaviors like eating, drinking, grazing, resting, socializing, and broadcasting. Some animals will be updated to include absent behaviors shortly after alpha's release. I've already read through all of this, and they've already said that a lot of the alpha's purpose is to find bugs and fix them, right? So they're not going to give us a whole lot after the alpha's release until the beta, but I guess at least we'll be getting some other behaviors to the current creatures we're getting. Before we move on to the next category, it's interesting that we're actually getting only 6 animals. I mean, I get that, there's going to be a different amount of creatures per every version of the game we get. So I wonder in beta, I wonder how many we'll get in beta. I'm guessing like 12 or 14, and then of course early access is 22. And then does that mean launch is the original 50 that they promised? We'll see. Alright, so next up they talk about the creative category. They start with terraforming. You can carve the terrain with 6 distinct tools: raise, lower, smooth, flatten, roughen, and erosion. Get your feet wet with up to 3 paintable water materials in varying depths. That all sounds a lot like Planet Zoo, so I'm kind of expecting it to have about that same level of, control with the terrain. So far, what I've seen Prehistoric Kingdom as is kind of like a stiffer version of Planet Zoo in terms of building and all that. Like, it has a lot of that freedom and creativity, but it feels stiffer, and that's honestly fine. With dinosaurs, with these kind of creatures, stiffer is probably better, but still a lot more creativity and opportunities than, say, Jurassic Evolution. Next up, they have 4 paintable biomes. We'll be getting 4 paintable biomes, and they start by tropical, temperate, scrubland, and wetland. They will be available to paint terrain and forest with. Use the brush intensity to create subtle and stylish gradients between textures to add some more realism to the park. those are some good selections, but I'm gonna miss like taiga, for example, until we get closer to that time. But those are good. I'm definitely looking forward to going with the classic tropical. Curious to see what exactly they mean by scrubland. I know I can just look back at the old devlogs, but it's not clicking in my mind at this exact moment. But I definitely know tropical, temperate, and wetland, which I'm very excited to take a look at. Next up, they have 13 structures. Bring your prehistoric kingdom to life with a selection of buildings from the animal care, infrastructure, guest facilities, and enclosure categories. Now, this is where I wonder if it's going to be like Planet Zoo, where you place down like tiny buildings, and then from there you can build whatever you want around them, or are they the full buildings and you can just kind of like customize them? Or I'll have to do a bit more reading on it. I've probably missed some information before that tells us this, but all I know is that we're going to have 13 structures, and these are all good. Of course, I expect things like animal care and infrastructure, guest facilities. Yeah, the stereotypical stuff for this management kind of game. I wonder if we'll get more, though. I'm sure we will. But those kind of sound like the basics that we need. But anyway, though, so next up we have 250 plus modular items. 250, that is a lot. I mean, that's a lot. That's as much as a Planet Zoo DLC. About that. So, I think that's a pretty good amount just for the alpha. Get custom with over 250 modular items, pieces, and plants to build designs of your own. This frickin' word, specificity. Damn it. Specificity. Use the modern styling to pick from 7 wall textures or 4 roof designs. Interesting. So we definitely don't have all the new textures and roof designs yet, but we'll probably just get that over time through beta and early access. I'm assuming beta is essentially going to be alpha with a few more things added to it and a bit smoother, hopefully a bit more of a smoother performance, but we'll see. Next up is the path and fences. Choose from 12 fences and 7 path materials using an initiative spline-based constructive system. Enable terraced fence placement to create a uniquely staggered look. I remember in the old devlogs, you can kind of create the fencing can come in different versions. Sometimes you can have them all sloped together, or they'll come in like stagnant things like stairs, for example. They'll come in that kind of stair look, however you want it. I'm sure over time we'll get more materials, more kinds of fences, and more kinds of paths. Also, I cannot wait to see how the pathing in this game is going to compare to Planet Zoo, because that's a big thing that people have always complained about with Planet Zoo and Planet Coaster is the pathing, but we'll find out. And that is basically all the main stuff in terms of the creative category. So far, it's still a lot in the alpha. Let's go ahead and move on to the last category of stuff in the alpha. Management. So to begin with, the basic economy, provide for supply and demand with guest facilities and attractions, offset the cost of construction, animal production, and building upkeep by turning a profit. Basic power management, connect and power your park with the basic power management. Failure and reboot mechanics have been disabled for alpha. Basic visitors, what's a park without guests to wander the paths? Additional animations, AI, enhanced model variation, and guest related gameplay will be arriving in beta and early access launch. So with all that taken in, basically we're gonna have a basic management right now. I know they're gonna make it more elaborate once we get to the beta and early access, but this sounds like a pretty satisfying introduction to the full management of the game. A lot of the basics right here, as I said. And with all that taken a look at, let's go ahead and just move on forward with the highlights from the rest of this devlog. And now we are on to the highlights of the devlog. Here are some essentially official looks at what we just read. Beginning with the animal modular pathing. As you can see, we can now have our dinosaurs interact with the modular buildings. So, I mean, of course, besides just terrain and the nature selection, we can actually have our creatures walk up on top of buildings and just really incredible stuff like that. This is actually very important for any game with creatures like this. You need them to interact with what you build, and I think this is a really big step for them. And even to quote them, this is huge news. It really is, though, because I mean animals in Planet Zoo, they do interact with what you build, and it's always incredible to see that. It feels more natural like that. And I'm kind of surprised they didn't already have that implemented, but I'm just glad to know that they do now. Next up, we have a vocal clip here of the Admonosaurus. Next up is the Foliage Showcase. The Field Elm, Oak, and Sable Palmetto were added to the temperate and scrubland biomes to introduce more verticality. We're especially fond of the new Palmetto. It's great for honoring that prehistoric look. It really is. Beautiful foliage. They have always nailed the foliage in this game. I cannot wait to get my hands on it. And also, they do go ahead and note that just like in Planet Zoo, each plant kind of comes in different variants. So in this case, there are 3 different variants of the Sable Palmetto palm, which is really cool. It's good to have different variants. You need to have that variety. Next up is the Building Showcase. Throughout February, we began implementing high-quality custom wall and roof materials to replace our previous modern texture set, moving to a more advanced workflow. This has allowed us to bring out a greater level of detail with a minimal performance trade-off, increasing texture resolution by over 2 times. So here we have a pretty good look at the brand new textures. They all look great. It reminds me a lot of Planet Zoo. Honestly, this kind of stuff does not excite me as much, but for those who do get excited about the modular building, here you go. But you know, one thing that I pretty much guarantee you many people are going to try and build right off the bat is the classic Jurassic Park Visitor Center. It's going to be up there as one of the first big attraction points in the community that someone's going to build. Someone is going to build the 1993 Jurassic Park Center, I guarantee you. Somehow, some way, and then over time we'll get better and better versions of it. Just a prediction, but it's totally true. Next up is hay beds. Nothing else to add to that, but yeah, just new hay beds that, just like in Planet Zoo, the creatures will lay on and well, you know, treat as hay bed. That's what you're supposed to do with them. And last up, we have the fences. Now, this is definitely where I get more interested. They're the weakest of the bunch. Glass fences are a stylish way to increase habitat visibility. They come in 1, 2.5, and 4 meters heights, making them ideal window to another world. So we have a good look here at the modern glass fencing. Looks great. Definitely, it's kind of a risky choice. For some species it'll be good, for other species it could potentially be dangerous. You know, I think there's going to be there's going to be settings in the game eventually where you can decide if a T-Rex can actually break out of a glass fence, but I'm sure at the base game, yeah, it's going to be able to break out of a glass fence. It just will. So watch out for that. Next up, we have the concrete fences. Concrete fences are strong, providing a thick slab of stone and internal steel to hold more aggressive animals. These come in 1, 2.5, and 4 meters variant. Again, so same height sets. I guess you can't change the height. It's one of those 3. You have one of those 3 heights, and you just have to stick with it. That is definitely a bit more disappointing, I hate to say, unless we're just wrong here, and they're not explicitly telling us that we can change the heights. There appears to be only 3 heights we can work with, and I know it's kind of a bummer, but oh well, you know, it's got to deal with it. Certainly not as creative there in terms of Planet Zoo, but I'm comparing this game a lot to Planet Zoo, but it's because it's kind of it's a bit of a competitor. Still think Planet Zoo is better. I know some people have said Prehistoric Kingdom is better than Planet Zoo. It's not. It's just not. It's a really good game already, but I guarantee you, at least for right now, Planet Zoo is still going to be a better game, in my opinion, at least. Alright, there we have it, everybody. A full look at the February devlog and the full look at the upcoming alpha, again, coming out on March 19th. Let me know what you thought about this brand new devlog and the alpha. Are you planning on getting it, or are you going to wait for the beta? Or are you just going to wait for the early access? Let me know. Honestly, I'm not too sure. I have plans to go ahead and make a video talking about if it's actually worth it or not, because there are some tough prices to swallow with this, but if you really care about this game and you really want to get your hands on it right away, then yeah, I understand if some people want to go ahead and just already pre-order the alpha because they're that excited for it. I get it. Again, we'll talk about that later, hopefully. So anyway, though, I want to thank you all so much for watching this video. Again, let me know what you think about this, and yeah, I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye.